despite equality has been served. But when you come to equity, that means you are putting into consideration individual differences. The first man, as you might see, does not need any support to see across the boundary. So if you don't give him support, you have not done any harm. Is that okay? The second one just need little help. Then he can fly. But the third one need much help. At the time you consider individual need at different level, for them to see same thing equally, that is equity. And that is what we are here to discuss. Two genders were created, right? We have male, we have female. If you put us on the same pedestal to run, I can tell you for free, the male, they will outrun us. And you will say, after all, I gave them the same chance. You are not being just. You know our uniqueness. You know the barrier. You know what culture has done to us. You know the challenges that our being as a woman has done to us, and you want to give us the same ground to fly. You know we cannot meet up. This is where equity comes in. Fairness in your strategy. How do you set up strategies that are fair to the women? Both from the primary school level, through to secondary school, through to university, and even at the working class. We realize that a lot of girls are in secondary school, they enter into science classes. They'll be happy. You know, those days they believe that, we were made to believe that it's the brilliant ones that go to sciences. So you have girls there. At the JSS and at the SS3 level, majority fail WAEC. Before you know it, you will see them in different, they are deluded. You know, some of our parents in those days believe that when you spend money to train women, you are wasting the money. They say it will end in a man's kitchen. So why should I? This is one of the depravity that we actually face. Now, the goal of GWB 2025 is to establish an active network of people, men and women, to overcome this barrier to gender equity in science. Let's take a look at these statistics. We need to go back a little bit into history so that we'll understand why there should be accelerating equity in science. The data A shows from 1950 to year 2000. In the overall, we have 28.8 to 73.2 ratio of male and female academic publications. If you look at it, 1950, we have 14% authors in the whole world academic publications in sciences. But we were not stagnant, not as good, we are not yet where we are going to. In year 2000, we have 35.4% of female authors in scientific journals. And if you look at the various fields in mathematics, we have 15.1%. In physics, 15.2%. In computer science, we have 16.1%. In engineering, 17.4%. That's against 82%. I believe everybody can see the screen. Oh, the bigger screen is not showing. You can please help us. We all need to be part of this. In chemistry, we have 23.2% against 76.8%. In health science, we have 4 against 69, and so on like that. This data is taken from different countries. And when we look at this data from 1950 to year 2000, it obviously shows that women are not there yet. And how can we be there? Fairness to us, equity to us. I'll show us something now. Look at these statistics. The women in STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics occupation. In biological sciences, we have 46%. In chemists and material sciences, we have 40%. Computer and mathematical occupations, we have 25.2%. In engineering and architect, we have 16.5%. Still clearly shows that we are not there yet. If you leave us and we don't talk about fairness and equity, this is where majority of us will populate. This is what culture has made us to believe about ourselves. This is where we have been limited to. Majority of our girls, mentally, they will respect us because they know we are there. If you see any woman in science or in any career that is doing very well, give it to a resilient spirit. If a man can do one to get something, a woman will need to do like 4 or 6 to get that same thing. It is our makeup because we are multitask. In order for us not to be relegated to this, we need to act and accelerate equity. Are we all following? Let's look at this picture. The number 1 picture is tagged as the most intelligent picture in the world. Do you know why? In 5th Solvay Conference Quantum Mechanism in 1927, we have the gathering of this brain. This woman surpassed them all. She broke a record that no one has ever challenged to date. Do you know the timing between 1927 and date? She did not only become a Nobel laureate, she became the only human that got Nobel laureate in 2 different disciplines in sciences. Not only woman, now only human. Both man and woman. She got the first one, like the PRO said that time. She got the first one in physics, where she discovered radioactivity. And she got the second one in chemistry. I think she discovered 2 different elements. Her discovery in physics is what is being used as radiotherapy for cancer patients till today. Can you please clap for Marie Curie? One out of 30. But if she can do it, the upcoming scientists, you can also do it. Do you believe that? In 1927, there was no encouragement for women to do anything. But she did it. If you look at the second picture, we became there's a research for impact projects whereby scientists from 18 Nigerian universities were together and solve problems using local technology. Out of 18 scientists, only 2 women were there. The result of that project gave birth to a very huge grant of $250,000. I was fortunate, or I'm fortunate to be one of the group leader, and struggling among 4 hefty men. The report that we had in 2024, I'm giving us a background so that we know that we have reason to discuss this topic and to actually swing to action. In 20 must be constitutional, so that everybody will know that we need a push, because we have what it takes to be there. There are challenges in achieving gender equality. Like I said, equality is small to what we wanted. What can bring equality is equity. If there's no equity, there will be no just equality. And one of the major challenges that we have is cultural and social norms. Our culture has made us to have some might against us, naturally. Sometimes I started my career as a secondary school teacher, and I was in a class and I told my students then to write essay about themselves. And a girl in my class wrote a whole page about herself. When I read it, I was shaking. If only you know how this girl ridiculed herself. She spoke so less of her, as if she's unfortunate to be a girl. And I sent for her. I said, sit down. What's the problem? She said, the parents are here to have children. Then I asked her why. She said there are 9 girls, and the father and mother are still looking for a boy. So the parents made them to believe that until they have a boy, those 9 are nothing. And that's actually what she wrote about herself. That as she is, she may be brilliant, but she's not going to carry the father's name. As she is, she was just, this is what society has done to us. Culture. When you speak, they say, keep quiet to talk. Shashe Oloni. It's in doing that the world will even be a better place for the men to live. And then economic barrier. I've also experienced a family that has both male and female, and the father said, I can only train the boys. I cannot train the girls, because the girls will end up in the kitchen. My professors, Mrs. and Mas here, and doctors, did you end up in kitchen alone? Mommy, although when Prof was alive, he used to tell us that my cook is a professor. I know that very well. Yes, when Professor Duilemi was alive, he would say, my cook is a professor. Is that not something to be proud of? Who can pay a professor cook? That is Professor Duilemi for you. Anywhere he is, when he was alive, he's always speaking of mommy and shoulder high all the time. Mommy, God bless you for us. When you push us for yourself. Do you know what I'm saying, Daddy? You push her for yourself. You fight for equity for us, you fight for yourself and your children. Because when you are not there, we are the one there for them. So we are not saying anything strange, are we? Violence and discrimination, I've mentioned that. Lack of political representation, like Mommy said the other time. If you look at the political system in Ondo State, I wouldn't know how many women is in the policy-making stage. In Nigeria as a country, so when we are not there to speak, is it when they are still speaking of kidnapping, no food in Nigeria, that they will remember equity somewhere? It is when you are there that you speak for yourself. So we need representative to speak for us. Lack of access to education, we have mentioned that. In the past scene, I've also said this, the importance of equity in STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. When you ensure fair access to opportunity for us, like I described in our first picture, fair access to opportunity, we are not talking of equity. We are not talking of equality. We are talking of equity. That is fairness to all, considering individuals' weaknesses. You cannot call a man that you know that is not having leg to come and run with someone that have leg, and you say, on your mark, set, go, and you look, you say, I'm equal. It's not possible. You know you are not fair. A woman sitting here listening to me now is thinking of, this woman should finish talking on time. I have to do school run to pick my children. Am I lying? And I want to collect something from that woman in market. My mother-in-law will come visiting this weekend. What will she eat? And yet you are thinking of your research in the laboratory. And you are thinking of the lecture you ought to be teaching today, but you are here. You've postponed that one. I give kudos to all the women here. Please clap for yourself. Why it is important to accelerate gender equity in science? Let's quickly look at these facts. Most of the world's poor, over 1 billion people, are women and children. That's the statistics. Over 1 billion poor people in the world are women and children. That's why many of them resort to become entertainers. Man must survive. Nobody fight for us. And women are providing a rich potential supply of talented scientists and innovators. Out of all illiterate adults worldwide, 2/3 are women. Access to consistent long-term education, especially in science, remain elusive for many girls. Like Professor Duilemi said the other time, at the northern part of Nigeria, the scenario is very, very different. It's critical, more critical than what we have here. That's why when we are speaking globally. We are not speaking for ourselves alone. There's still so much to do. There's a lot of culture that believe in child marriage, but they don't believe in child education. We need to speak out. We need to accelerate equity. Encouraging women to take part in science, any country to maximize its valuable human assets. That is what if pushed, if given the chance. The UNESCO Institute for Statistics has estimated that of the world total science researcher, only 27% are women. Is that pass or fail? Children, if you score 27 over 100, will your teacher clap for you? Will your parents say you pass? What grade is that? That means there's much to invisible web. Across the world, governments are becoming more aware of the need to support women throughout their science studies at the tertiary level, including vocational and technical training, undergraduate education, and graduate studies. Of recent, TED Fund has made it compulsory. If you are writing for NRF, if you are a team of 5, at least one must be a woman. If not, your grant will not be approved. That is equity. If you are writing and you are a team of 7 or 6, minimum 2 must be women. That is awareness. Government is aware that there's need for equity. It's straightforward. It's straightforward. As with any complex issue, there's no clear Achilles heel. No single underlying reason that explained it. Rather, these barriers have been linked to an invisible web with intertwined strands. Because what faces us here is different from what they are facing in the north. So you cannot use, it's not an abstract. You cannot use one singular rule. It has to be peculiar. That's where the equity comes from. If you set a standard for us here, it may not work for them in the north. If you use the northern standard, it may not work for us here. I am very sure, and I know, that in this part of the world, in this part of the country, early marriage is not encouraged. In fact, it's a taboo. But in another part of the country, it is celebrated. So, representing cultural, societal, personal, institutional, political, and economic obstacles. Yet, women underrepresentation in science can be strongly attributed to their weak participation in higher education, and specifically in the most advanced degree level. Like I've earlier mentioned, the barrier, the gender stereotype which limit girls' interest and confidence in pursuing STEM subjects from an early age. We have what is also called gender bias and discrimination, in academic and research environments, which our policymakers in this country, Nigeria, are beginning to look into. Lack of mentorship and female role model in sciences. This is very, very critical. I've experienced some things in my few years in academics that female PhD student does not like female professor. If you have experienced that before, I don't know if you can see. Mommy, am I making sense? Because they believe that she will be strict on them. She will be harsh on them. Meanwhile, she wants to push them. But they say, me fair yang. Right? Who will not mind? If you like, stay. You go to him again next tomorrow, say, it's because I'm winning my daughter. That's why I could not come for 2. He say, oh, sorry, how is the daughter now? Come to me, a woman who is also going through what you are going through, and tell me that, and let me see if I will accept it. Mommy, these are the reasons why they run away. Because they cannot hide. You have menstrual pain and so what? Is that the end of life? Have I not had it before? Go to lab and work. You are winning your child. Have I not won my own? Give the child to grandma and move to laboratory. Am I making sense? Do you understand? So many younger ones are difficult to mentor. Meanwhile, if you see those that release themselves for mentorship, oh my God, you will envy them. Because it will just be as if somebody has cleared the road for them. So they are just passing. They don't need to use their head again to clear the bush. Mentorship is very, very important, and it is one of the major ways we can actually get equity we are talking about. Give, children, are you listening to me? Give yourself for mentorship. And the scientists, open your arms to mentor. If you spend 30 years or 35 years in this career, and you cannot count 30 or 35 girls that you have mentored, you have not made it. Don't celebrate your retirement. Because it is not the money in bank, it is not your children you raise, but other scientists of your life. And you'll be happy you do it. Because those 40, they will definitely surpass the 60. Let me bring this personal. My father said how he had wished he gave birth to girls all through. He said it. He said he never knew it would be like this. If you are giving birth to girls, better be thanking your star. Better be thanking your star, because those are the ones that will take care of you when you are when she cannot again. My father confesses that how he wished we had all been girls. Do you know that it's not that those men, but they have responsibilities now? Your son takes care of you is strongly determined by the wife. We run the race now. We run it now. We did the background. So push us. Support us. Let there be fairness for you to actually enjoy this world as a scientist and in all ramifications. You build partnership. Building strong partnership between schools, universities, and local organizations is essential. Just like what Mrs. Fabusiwa Agbaje is doing here now. She's actually moving the women in chemistry, Ondo, with a force to build partnership with the secondary school. It is Operation Catch Them Young. Make them to have interest in science. Don't let them think, what is science? It's money, money, money. Because that is what this generation is all about now. And that is what is killing this generation. They put money first. They don't put, what can I offer first? And it's really killing. And that's why you see them joining different evil societies. You know, engaging themselves in different fraudster businesses, even rituals. It is not money first. Offer something, money will come. My recurring money can never end. Are you listening to me? My recurring money can never end. You know the meaning? Somebody that died in the 19th century, our foundation is still giving thousands and millions of scholarship to people till today. Is that the kind of money you do ritual to get? You don't do Yahoo Yahoo to get that kind of money. As a scientist, you make money that will never end. Because your target was to give to the society. And by the time the society starts giving back, it's oceans. Let me say this also. The project I'm actually currently working on was to solve the challenge in Gari processing industry. The idea was Gari is one of the staple food in Nigeria. Either you are rich or poor, that day you still eat Gari. But if you look at the method of production, it's very tedious. You cannot find educated people doing it. They've relegated it to poor people's work. Meanwhile, rich people consume it. And those that are making it, they can never be rich from it because of the method of production. So we went into it. We want to solve problem of Gari frying. Because we interviewed them all over Nigeria. And they made us to understand that where the major challenge is frying. They are exposed to heat, they are wrinkled, they have high problem. And we wrote a proposal. We want to solve problem in Gari frying industry in Nigeria. And we got $250,000. Can I ask a question? In this current Nigeria, can that kind of money finished? As in, what I'm trying to say is that when we get that technology out, and we start giving it or selling it to the Gari producer, it will be sold for centuries. That is why I say it is not the 250,000 project, it is the aftermath effect. Are you getting it? So, as a scientist, if you are being pushed, if you are given a fair ground to operate, you move and you solve problem. And once your target is solving problem, money will come. It is not, your target should not be making money, because that's what your generation says now. I want to make money or I die or something like that. Praise God. Oh, Sorry. Okay. So we move. We engage community leaders. Just like what we are doing now, there's also need to create awareness to the community there, especially in the northern part of Nigeria. Let them see that women are more than marriage. They are more than kitchen. They have brain. They can multitask. In fact, the way God wired us as a woman, we can do several things at a time. Meanwhile, our daddies, our men, they are one-way traffic. That's how God wired them. It is where they are going that they face. They will do it very well, but just don't add too much to them. That one that they face, they will do it very well. But once you start adding 2, 3, confusion will enter. But watch a woman in the house. She's backing a baby. She's cooking. She has a laptop trying to submit that manuscript. And the daughter is crying, "Mommy, my assignment." And she's still attending to it. And daddy is calling in the other room. She's still going. And she's doing them perfectly well. Clap for us. You see that if there's equity, we will fly. Because we have all that it takes to move. But we have the society and the culture tying one of our leg to the ground. Let me move because I wouldn't know how many hours or okay, I've spent more than my time. So we should promote role models. Some of these, our secondary school girls today, may take a decision that will affect their life forever. Do you know why? By meeting one of us. I took decision to become a lecturer the day I attended an inaugural lecture in University of Ibadan, 1996. And a woman was presenting the inaugural lecture, and I said, "What? This is a woman. What does it take to present inaugural lecture? I want to do it." I don't know the professor name again because that time I didn't even bet. That was actually my turning point to say whatever it would take to present inaugural lecture. If this is, which road? As a young girl that time, I said, they say she's a lecturer, she's a professor, and she's like this, so beautiful, and she's speaking English like this. I want to present inaugural lecture. A lot of these young ones today will take such decision. They want to be like this person. They want to be like this person. Make yourself a presentable person as a role model to the younger ones. And let us celebrate, like I'm celebrating Mommy Duilemi. She doesn't know me, but I've known her for a very long time. There's a woman, the first former Vice Chancellor of University of Benin, Professor Grace Alele Williams. She was the Margaret Thatcher of Benin that time. Mathematician. And we have a professor in our state here at the Federal University, Professor of Biochemist, Professor Oladiji. She's also a Vice Chancellor of a university. When you see women like that, at the peak of their career, you should know that they are resilient because the system does not give it straight to a woman. We have to fight for it. And we have some of these, our women, they appear in the dailies recently. Professor Olanike Adeyemo, she's a professor of veterinary public health and preventive medicine, Deputy Vice Chancellor in University of Ibadan. Francisca Okeke, also a professor of physics. And Deyinka Falusi, a professor of hematology. Olaiton Soyonwo, she's an anesthetic
institution, secondary school students. I'm sure what you guys will do will be to just cram it. A movement from one level is beyond that. When I first stood before you today, you did not know what was inside my own container. You could only see the container. Until I started talking, and I started telling you one thing or the other. What I was doing, the moment I opened my mouth to talk, was to diffuse. Okay? What I know is concentrated here. It's not with you. And the moment I open my mouth to talk, I'm trying to diffuse it from this level where it is highly concentrated to you. And exactly what we just experienced. The challenge we have with sciences is lack of application. If they illustrate it in a way that we can connect, the truth of the matter is that 100 years to come, you will be able to use it well. I know you will just cram and they will mark. But for that woman, Mrs. Babatunde, after teaching us, she will link it and tell us how we can experience it every day. The same thing with biology. I wish they taught me physics that way. I will have stayed. When we were writing SSCE, under light, the one I know very well is rectangular block prism. We got to the exam hall, the thing triangular came out. The more I look at it, the thing will just go like this. I said, I was battling with it. Later I checked my time. I just told myself, oh boy, maybe this is not your calling. You might have been wasting your time. I just carried the script and I submitted. The principal said, what is going on? You did not write anything. So I don't know it. What kind of result are we going to get? You are one of our best students. I said, all of them write to be sure. I'm sure that it's only one person that will pass physics in this class. The principal said it's not possible. It's only one person will pass. And it's because in their house, everybody in the house, they all studied physics. And it shows it's different. When the result came, it's only Shegun Salami that passed physics. Because I said, others, they are just wasting their time. Go and prepare for the next paper. But for people like you, I believe humanity is blessed to have you. The way you have done it exceptionally well. And I think you deserve another round of applause. In the space of 2 weeks now, I'm beginning to fall in love again with science. Last week, we had an inaugural lecture where somebody also deconstructed physics. And I said, God, if physics is this simple, what happened to me? Maybe today I will have been a medical doctor, but I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Okay, I guess God used that one to retrace my step so that I will go back to my natural habitat and then I can do it well. We thank you so much, Mark. God bless you. Prayer go. What we have now, I'm going to do some sort of climate setting, but before doing that, I want to recognize the representative of Chief Olautan Olamuyiwa in our midst. He's been around for quite a while. Mr. Akinwumiju Olajonpo. Please a round of applause for him. He's been here to represent him and he's been sitting quietly at the back. I'm not surprised that Chief Olautan sent a young person to represent him, okay? He's also a young man doing very well in his field. We are going to get to know him more along the line. Right now, what we'll be doing, and shortly after it, we want you to stretch your legs. You are going to have some sort of tea break now. Don't mind us that it's happening in the afternoon. Everything we do is unique. Everything we do here is unique. And because we are celebrating women in chemistry, okay? Women are just special. They are different species, not common, okay? And that's why it's happening in the afternoon. I don't know the name to call it, but we shall call it. If you say brunch, it's even more. We have left the period for brunch. Brunch will have come between 10 and possibly before 12. And now this is past 12. Right now, we want to cut our cake. After the cutting of the cake, that's when we go for tea break, and we also take the group photograph first. You are still looking fresh a bit, and then you sit down, you take your tea, and from then, after your tea, we continue. Right now, may I call on the people on the high table? They are the ones that will help us to cut the cake, and then we'll take the picture. We'll do that while we move to that side, because this place, and let the men on the high table also join them, and all of us will connect with them in the spirit as we watch them cut the cake. But we'll eat out of the cake. It doesn't matter who cut it. All I'm interested in is to eat the cake. Photographer, Mr. Wealth, come and help us now. Please, can we quickly just take the group photograph outside, and then we come in for the tea break before we continue. Taking the tea break, we will continue with the panel session. We will do two things at a time. No, I'm there. We encourage people on the high table to please go back to their seats. Why the people that will anchor the panel session should get ready for us. Please take your tea break back to your seat so that we can do the next item that we have now. Please, as soon as you take your tea, let's go back to our seat with it. And can we please have one house? Can we have one house, please? Can we maintain some level of silence in the hall? Thank you very much. We started well, and I believe we are going to end well. Please, let's maintain some level of silence so that we can do two things at a time. All right, thank you very much. While this is going on, and you take it to go back to your seat, I want to call on Dr. Janet Igbaro and Miss Excel. Dr. Janet Igbaro and Miss Excel Jeff Agbola to help us take this panel session. They will be raising some fundamental questions, and then our panelists will respond to some of the questions raised, after which they throw it open for Q&A. Please, a round of applause for those of us that have not been taking tea. Let's appreciate them.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to stand on the existing protocol, and I want to appreciate the coordinator for the Women in Chemistry Ondo chapter for the opportunity given to me to anchor this section. Ms. Excel will join me later. Thank you. Our panelists, about 5 of them. We have Professor, that's our faculty dean, Professor Mojisola Inkiko, well seated. Then we also have Professor Oyetunji Oyeyemi, that's the director for CORD. Oyetunde Oyeyemi. I pronounced it. Thank you, sir. Then we have Dr. Yats Akindele, Dr. Mojisola Azwata, and lastly, Dr. Olusegun Agbaje. So please, this time is very crucial, because I know that we'll have so many questions bothering our mind. And I want to thank God, for our guest speaker. She has actually done justice to the topic. So, but there are some questions we have here that we are going to throw open to our guests. Probably they will be able to answer the question, and I will believe that they might have touched one area or the other that you feel is very important. When I was coming for this program, my husband was asking me that you are in food science. What do you have to do with women in chemistry? But you know that everyone, as long as they're a student, right from even from GSS1, you have done one chemistry or the other. So chemistry is very important, and it's the building block that every other programs are building on. So whichever aspect, you may be an administrator, you have done one level of chemistry or the other. And you can see the way our PRO was ditching out some chemistry aspects that he knew even right from his secondary school all day. Okay, thank you very much as we listen. The first question will go to Professor Inkiko, and the question is, what are the most significant barriers to equity in science, and how can they be addressed? What are the most significant barriers, in inequity to access, What are the most significant barriers to equity in science, and how can it be addressed? Just in 2 minutes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. There are 2 major barriers that I see in equity. One is the cultural and political climate. culture and politics determines a lot of things that happens in any society. And in Africa, Nigeria specifically, we have a diverse culture. Our political climates are not, many of the people in governance are not well enlightened in what equity is. And so they kind of equate equity with equality. And thank God that our keynote speaker had really addressed that. So we need to debrief ourselves on our cultural beliefs. And let me say in quotes, our cultural heritage. And start briefing ourselves on what the norms are in society that will key us into development. And when we do that, then we can begin to put leaders or people and educate the people in governance on what the needs are in order to bring about this equity we are talking about. Because I believe that the governance that is well educated and enlightened and knows the needs of its citizen will be able to address those. That is the first one. The second one that I will say will be the issue of funding. Sometimes money can be a barrier. We know scripture says money answereth all things. But when there is no money, there is no funding to do certain things, and we misplace, in money answering, we misplace our priority. Maybe I should reframe that. The problem might not be the money, the finance. It's the management of finances. Let me reframe that. If we cannot manage our finances in such a way, starting from the lowest level, local government, institutions, that include educational institutions and all that, if the funding that we have cannot be managed and harnessed into bringing about equity in the society, bringing about fairness, prioritizing the need on development, growth, technology, that can actually bring the nation to a limelight, then we will say that our financing is our problem. When we spend our finances, our money on things that are not useful, or things that should not be taken as priority in preference to what we should prioritize, then we will run into the problem of the fairness. So I believe in fairness. Look at the budget of Nigeria today. How many of us? 5? What was given to education and science, was very, very appalling. We have budgets in so many things that were not even necessary. But that I was alerted to was less than 6% of the total budget that was going even into education, talk less of science. And when it gets into education, they will now divide it into science and tech, gender this, sports, youth and sports, and all the rest of those things. So I think we need to get it right in our finances, harnessing our resources and prioritizing the need of our developing nation in order to achieve equity. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I think we have picked that. It has to do with culture and also with funding. Then the second question will be addressed to Professor Oyeyemi. How can we promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in scientific research and education? How can we promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in scientific research and education?
Thank you for that question. We understand that equity promotes innovation. Maybe it also helps to appreciate diversity in thought and also foster development. You know, when you read the question, I was just something just came to my mind that in a time that the world is trying to promote diversity, equity, and innovation, the most powerful in the world, scrap out that, policy to enhance, in the community. We were discussing recently, something is going on in the, in the university, and as director of gender, she's always particular about gender, and she was like, "Do we have women, among the people to be?" I was like, "Only one woman," and she was not happy at all. That why we, and I was told that even the woman was nominated by a man. That the woman was nominated by a man. That it was not even a woman that nominated, the woman. That is one. So, when, very lucid, I love our presentation. But I want to say that I was discussing I said, oftentimes it is women that work against women. It is women that discourage, other women oftentimes. That has been my own personal experience. But I've seen students running to me because they ran away from a woman professor. I've seen students, gone into depression because a woman lecturer, spoke and they couldn't just, bear the burden of that, the weight, of the utterance, that. So if we want to promote, I think we need both men and women should be reoriented. There should be a kind of a serious orientation. And I love this, what we are doing. I often say that women too, don't be carried away by women, equity in women. There is something, I say, as time goes on, you may see me trying to promote equity in men too. And I love the fact that at least you deem it fit, at least to say this is not women affair. You invited men to be in this guide. Because I think the first one, I couldn't see men. But today, I think, and I always say something that if you want to pursue an agenda, that agenda will not see the light of the day except to carry man along. And I think you are doing the right thing now. Carrying us along. You are planning something. The man that will stamp it, you are not carrying the man along. I think it's high time, we start, and you have really done well. I want to say, before I forget, that in promoting diversity, there must be a policy, that deliberately, enshrine diversity into in leadership. If you are having 5, women should be 2. In politics, there should be a policy, and that policy must be implemented, not just in books. That is one. Secondly, if you want to promote diversity and inclusion, I love, that message was so, as if she was reading my mind. There should be deliberateness in ensuring that there are some scholarship are deliberated to underrepresented groups. I love some international organizations are doing that now. TWAS, there are grants that only women and people from underrepresented countries can apply for. UNESCO is doing that. In fact, AVH now is not even doing that. There are some grants, fellowship that only people from different countries can apply for. If you are from developed world, you cannot apply for that. So things like this should be enshrined, into our culture, deliberately, helping people, that are underrepresented in the community, in the society. And I want to say that I said something that I want to start promoting something that we women, we are not, paying attention to.
Okay.
Over the years, I do tell my students that when we are in school, when we are in university, many of us, we are very shy. We cannot woo a woman, colleague of us. We cannot even look at a woman like this. But because we knew book, women were flocking around us because we were brilliant in our days. But now I know that our guys, these boys, what they know to do, apart from Yahoo, they are vast in the way they can toast women. That's what they are. They are very good, in that. So as a lecturer, I always see my boys sitting at the back, while the ladies are always at the front. And it's showing forth, women are performing better. My best students now are women. But we are clapping. That is good. That is good. I told Dr. Agbaje here that if care is not taken, a time is coming that we will not see quality men to marry our ladies. So as we are promoting women equity I will stand in future to promote men equity. Let's not leave the men behind. It's as if we are leaving the men behind. And the quality of men we are seeing today is not as, the quality of men we have today, the quality has dropped. And I'm afraid for our ladies, these young ladies, that a time is coming that we may not find good quality men to marry them. All this training we are giving, all this, capacity building we are giving the women. I hope that these boys that we are not carrying along will not douse that, fire in the future. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Professor Oyeyemi. Thank God that all of us seated here, at least 80% of us are women. And for the young ladies, they will become a woman one day. And we are the mother of nation because we are the one building life. So the boy or the girl, especially the boy that is out there that is not doing well, came from a home where you have a woman. So we have responsibility as mothers, to nurture our sons and our daughters. And this will take me to the next question, in which Dr. Idayat will answer. And the question is this: what strategy can we employ to support the career advancement of women? Because in the pursuit of our career, we also have our home. So that we don't have men that are not responsible, and we want to give our daughters out so that we can balance the equation, just as Professor Oyeyemi have said. What strategy can we employ to support the career of advancement of women and the minorities in science? I hope you got the question. So please do justice to that. Please, the mic. Prof. Can you help me pass the mic to you?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I will go straight to answering the question. And I think I want to change the mindset of some of us that we have female supervisors. I was supervised by a female. I was the first PhD student to her, sole PhD student to her. I remembered that our office mate, next door office mate, called me. Oju Egbe ni Bola. He told me, the same staff of the university said, Oju Egbe ni Bola. But I saw Bola differently because my life was attached to her. My mother doesn't have a PhD. I came to the University of Ibadan to attain a PhD. So I need to give honor to whom honor is due. Yes, she was just 5 years away from my age. But life has taught me from home that you need a sponsorship. My parents never told me you need a mentor. They said you need a sponsorship. And a sponsorship today has made me climb the little ladder where I found myself. So when I see you, I just believe you are created by God. I can get the best from you. When you come to me with anything bad, I console myself. God has not mentioned you to do anything good for me. So immediately you do something good for me, I hold on to you. I pray for you at your back, and I represent you everywhere, anytime. So I feel that we all need sponsorship. A sponsor is someone who can speak for you at the round table even when you are not there. What are you giving to that sponsor? You give two things. One is character. You must be able to be humble enough to understand that you don't owe it all. And when you don't owe it all, you give honor to whom honor is due. You believe at the back of your mind that person is not a God, but God can use that person for you. The second one is for you to be outstanding in whatever you are doing. Naturally, a sponsor will come. This will bring me to a story of the immediate past vice chancellor of the was my geophysics teacher. That is Professor Abel Idowu Olayinka. Oga will just teach. So sometimes when I hold my biro with the left, he say, go and shake Qurani, he jokes, but I don't get annoyed. Because I know him. when there is time for chapel, general stuff in the department, I know Oga to remove his cap. The Christian way of a man attempting to listen to prayers. And Oga was a peculiar Oga indeed. He rose up to become the vice chancellor. The present vice chancellor of University of Ibadan today was my HOD. I was coming through the step. I now went back. If you are used to University of Ibadan chemistry department, it's a long stairs. I went back to the foot. He said, Jokeni, geology, Elijah Wani, geology. He spoke for me. He spoke for me. Not knowing that Professor Adebowale today will become the vice chancellor. I went away with so many things my mates were not able to get away with. Just because of that humbleness. Geology is a course for boys. So when you find females there, we are always rugged. Because we are and it's the course for the South. It's the guys of the Calabar, the Akwa Iboms that comes to do such courses. So we are wired like men. But I have to tell you that sponsorship brought me to where I am. I remember some years ago, a student of mine said, Oga, elokoto da leshe wani bite wai. I just smiled. Yes, mole lokoto da. But something brought me here, and it is sponsorship. I paid the dues I was meant to pay, because I came from a very good home, which I can tell you today, that humbleness, that mind to believe that everybody is good, nobody is bad, came from my mother. So when you throw anything bad at me, I just believe that Allah will lo me for any, Allah will lo any for me, and that is the end of it. Another thing I did peculiar, that I can tell you, that can move a majority and a minority of women, is for you to believe that what God cannot do does not exist. So when I walk to you, I tell you my problem. The person who supervised my master's told me, I don't like females for PhD. I want, the master's project I did was for United Nations. But he said, I don't want a student for a PhD. I now went to a woman. But I paid my dues. My Oga became a small god because she's someone that is very, very emotional. When it's not palatable, I go back to the door and wait. She will be the one to say, Joke Wole. When I wole, I put my hands at my back. As at that time, she was not married. I had children. My lifestyle today, my last pregnancy is 19 years ago. She was not married. She was not having a child. During the course of when I became a student, she married, she had a child. Hallelujah. So on leaving, even the last fellowship I had, my professor was not married. Such person can help me. I can walk to him and say, oh God, I want a favor from you. If he gives it to me, God blesses him. If he doesn't give it to me, God has not sent him to me. Another person will do that work that he's refusing to do. So that is what I know that can match everybody. Either you are a minority, either you are a majority, you need someone at the top. Someone at the top is through a sponsorship, not a mentee. You are growing with a mentee, but somebody must be at the top. And that is what is happening to Tinubu today. He has put people in strategic places to use during 2024 election. And he used all of them round. These are the people that he identified, Fashola and all of them. He identified them as gurus. And now today, they spoke to him. Either they even rigged the election. They helped him to actualize that rigging. So that means that you need a sponsorship. That is what I can say.
Wow, thank you so much. I hope you are getting something from that message. Irrespective of who your supervisor is, your attitude also matters. And you must not neglect the place of God in all that you do. You have to pray about it. Don't just give it to chance. You have to pray. And thank God, because of our prayer, God also blessed the supervisor. So please don't be afraid when you have a female supervisor. Please don't be afraid, because you are going to supervise somebody. So what will be your own attitude? So I pray that as we are listening, we will put it to action in Jesus' name. The second to the last question is to Dr. Mojisola Azwata. What are some effective ways to manage expectation and conflict between home and office responsibilities? Let me take it again. What are some effective ways to manage expectations and avoid conflicts between home and office responsibility?
Thank you very much. And I thank the sponsors of this program for bringing me to this. Who am I? I'm just a small girl. I was like, Dr. Fabusu, this is for grown-up women. But I know by the grace of God, when we talk of women and home and office, by the grace of God, I've been married since 2012. So this particular question, it should have been like our mommy, Mrs. Oladapo, nurse, that would have answered this question. But I will try from those experiences they've been sharing. I will try to share some of their experiences. How do they manage? As in, first and foremost, you must realize your goals. You must realize your priorities. You must set boundaries. What do you want actually for yourself? If it's what you actually want, so to balance both, because I was telling my postgraduate student this morning, there was one Elijah there. She's married, at the same time she's a master's student, at the same time she's working. I said it's a very tough challenge. At least masters should be a full-time work. So balancing research, balancing home, balancing office is set priorities right. That's number one thing. Number two thing, don't be afraid to designate work between your family members and your colleagues. For example, maybe you have a deadline to make or something. Don't be afraid also to ask for help. That's another thing about women. Most people are afraid to ask for assistance. When you are meeting, you are not able to meet up deadlines. Don't be afraid to ask for more time. You should be able to ask for more time. Then I also mentioned that you should set boundaries. That is, communicate. For example, I have Professor Odeko. I announced from her. She's a professor of pharmacology in University of Ibadan. She said during the weekends she doesn't entertain anything office. When I send her email during the weekend, she will tell you that until Monday, that is when I will respond to your email. So as a woman, don't over-prioritize yourself. Just understand that you should set a boundary. In the morning, I do tell my students, when you call me 9 o'clock in the night, I will not answer your call. I'm in the family mood. I'm in the family mood. I'm already angry because I have a baby. So I will not, anything from 4, that is off. So I'm not prioritizing myself. I don't compete with anyone. Don't compete with others. The thing is that you have a set goal. Just face it. Clear that communication that, okay, this is what I want to do from this 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And I know every day, when you wake up every day, maybe you want to write a manuscript or you want to achieve, try and do it a step at a time. Every day, write it. You will, before you know it, 30 days, you would have written 30 pages. So set priorities. Maybe in your business or whatever, in your research, just try and make a touch every day. Don't run as like the main counterpart beside you that, I want to. You will just prioritize and go to, God will not let us die untimely. So, and another thing I read one of our professors also said is that when, for example, you are a career woman and your husband is looking to eat fresh meat or fresh, I'm not talking of fresh meat, that is fresh grinded pepper, fresh stew. So you should set priorities. If it's time, you can make moi, put it somewhere in the freezer, or in the weekend, go somewhere, buy your things in stock, package your things. Set boundary. Monday to Friday is my working hour. 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock is my working hour. So when you set those time paced, I think it will go a long way to assist you. Then another thing I also said, be honest with yourself. Be honest. How will you be honest with yourself? Don't overemphasize. For example, your main counterpart are having 70 publications. My promotion is this year. I must target. No. Don't overstretch yourself. What I want to emphasize is that do things that are visible. That is, for example, as a woman, if it's 2 manuscripts, you can write. Well, as I said the other time, when you write a page a day, you will have achieved 30 days. So prioritize things. When you prioritize things, you will go a long way. And designate responsibilities. at work, at place of work, don't be afraid to ask for help and collaborate. Collaborate. If you do more of collaboration, by the grace of God, that night, so whatever I can do, I do. So as a woman too, we should create time for ourselves. I have said that women, and Professor Yemi was mentioning the other time that we should also have boys' equity. The thing is that naturally women are from birth,